Hi there. So I really struggled with how to approach this video. Like, how do I present what is arguably the most highly anticipated drone of all time while keeping my assessment as objective as possible? Most of you are here because you want to know if the DJI Mavic 3 is worth your investment. It's a lot of money and you don't need an advertisement. You need information. So that's what I'm going to do with this very first video. No flashy lights or heart-pounding music to get your dopamine flowing. I've had this drone up in the air over 30 times so far. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to tell you as much as I can based on several tests so you can make an informed decision. I don't make one video on a drone, especially a drone like this that will cost you about the same as going to Starbucks every day for 2 years. I test the abilities and limits so you can see what you're getting into before you buy. So let's get into it and check out the brand new, highly anticipated DJI Mavic 3. Hey, welcome back everyone, and I'm guessing many of you are new here, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Russ and this is 51 Drones. This channel was started with this drone right here, the Mavic Pro. And it was the drone that started a revolution, the greatest selling drone of all time. 5 years later, we have the latest iteration of the Mavic line, the Mavic 3. The first thing that I want to tell you right off the bat, that as far as the design of this drone, it is truly remarkable. It is, for lack of a better term, the sexiest drone that I have ever seen. Strong lines, stylish angles, sleek prop arms, and this gorgeous Hasselblad camera make this drone the equivalent of an aerial Corvette, if you ask me. It's almost as nice as this one, but not quite. The propellers are much larger than previous Mavics, and they have these kind of soft rubber tips on the end, which I believe are there to help reduce the noise level and the pitch of this drone. And I love that they're orange. It's like they made it just for me. It actually weighs less than the Mavic 2 Pro at 900 grams, even with this beefy 5,000 milliamp hour battery. This innovative design allows the Mavic 3 to reduce its wind drag by 35% over the Mavic 2, and that's how we get the very impressive flight time. Now, there are 3 packages or 3 versions available of this flagship drone. There's the Mavic 3, just the Mavic 3 and the controller and things like that. And then you have the Mavic 3 Fly More Combo, which is what I have right here. And then you have the Mavic 3 Cine, which is the same drone, but with the ability to capture ProRes video. And it has an incredibly large 1 terabyte of onboard storage. And it comes with DJI's newest smart controller. Now, I will tell you right now that the majority of you watching this right now do not need the Mavic 3 Cine. It is a professional level videographer's drone, and it costs much more than this fully capable Mavic 3 that I'm holding in my hand. Now, if you create films for a living, then by all means, get the Cine. But don't listen to me on that. Just ask a professional filmmaker how good it is.
What does it say return home? Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on. We're gonna need you for a video. Oh, there we go. Hey Russ, hope everything's good, and didn't see you there. Peter here from Sweden, and just testing out the Mavic Cine. I do not recommend you try it out inside, but just had to give it a go. Well, I've been actually using this drone now for around 1.5 months, and this is a beast. The ability to shoot in ProRes gives you incredibly big files, but it's also allowing you to bring a lot more out when you jump into post. And having a 1 terabyte built-in SSD means that you never have to think about memory cards, huh? Back to you, Russ.
Thanks a lot, Peter. By the way, did you know that Peter is from Sweden? And guess where Hasselblad is from? It's from Sweden. So they make really good stuff in Sweden. Now, if you want to see his complete review, I'll link it right up here and also down in the video description. Now, concerning all of the specifications of this drone, most of you have seen them already from all of the leaks. So I'm not going to run through each and every one of them. I will talk about the most important ones, but I'm not here to tell you specs. I'm here to do some testing to help you make an informed decision. So right now, let's take a look at some video footage comparisons. So let's talk about this camera. First of all, we have that 20 megapixel 4/3 sensor from Hasselblad with an adjustable aperture, and it records up to 5.1K videos at 50 frames per second and then 4K at 120 frames per second. So those stats are really cool, but what's really great is that it records at a bit rate of up to 200 megabits per second, and it gives us 12.8 stops of dynamic range. That's a ton of information, making low light videos look amazing, and it makes the footage actually much easier to edit. You have so much more flexibility to make your final project look so great. And then we have the telelens, which is a 1/2-inch 20 megapixel sensor with a fixed aperture of f4.4. It records 4K 30 frames per second video, and it zooms up to 28 times. 2 lenses on 1 drone. I cannot express enough how fun that is. With the Mavic 2 series, like the Mavic 2 Pro and Mavic 2 Zoom, we had to choose between getting that zoom lens or getting the better image quality. Now, we don't have to choose because we get them both. Next, the Mavic 3 advertises 46 minutes of flight time and 40 minutes of hover time. Now, we all know that number is tested in ideal conditions, and you're never going to see them during real life use. So what is the real number? Well, normally to get a real number, I run 10 tests, like hover tests and flight tests, and then I average them to get a number. But so far, I've done 3 hover tests on the same day with very little wind, and the first 2 were done with obstacle avoidance enabled, and I got 34 minutes, going from 100% down to 8%. And the third one I did that day, I had the obstacle avoidance turned off, and I got 36 minutes from 100 to 8%. So I got 2 more minutes with the obstacle avoidance turned off. And then on a different day, about a week later, I flew around randomly in a 20-mile-per-hour wind, about like it is today. It's pretty windy today. You'll see that I'm standing next to buildings throughout this video, so I'm trying to avoid the wind as much as possible. But it was about 20 to 25 miles per hour that day, and I flew at 150 feet, right around 150 feet. I flew all over the place, back and forth, sideways. I hovered, and I got 30 minutes of flight time, and that was, I think, from 96% down to 8%. Now, these numbers are pretty consistent with all of the previous Mavic drones. You can expect right around that 75% of advertised flight time, but it really, really does vary with conditions, especially with the wind. Now, the Mavic 3 has APAS 5.0, which comes with some pretty lofty claims of being able to navigate complex environments. The omnidirectional, that's hard to say, the omnidirectional obstacle sensing on the Mavic 3 allows users to fly worry-free in places that you normally wouldn't try to fly a drone. These multiple vision sensors supposedly work with this new visual computing engine, and then DJI developed a new algorithm to detect obstacles in all directions. Now, I haven't truly tested this like hard before today, so let's take it over here and see if it's actually as good as advertised. Okay, boy, I gotta get in shape hiking around this place. I'm at a youth camp and it's huge, and I'm walking all over the place. But anyway, let's see let's see how good this APAS works. And let's go here, take off. All right. All right, I got the screen recorder on. I'm gonna walk along with it, and so the audio you're gonna hear is coming from my screen recorder now, so I apologize, it's not gonna sound very good. All right, let's let it get out ahead of me here a little bit. And first we'll just give it a simple challenge. We'll fly right at that tree. Look at that, goes up and around. We're just gonna keep pushing forward. See what happens. I'm not touching the left stick. I'm pushing straight ahead on the right stick. Goes around the pine tree. Wow, very cool. All right, let's turn this way and let's go right into that tree right there. Let's see how it does. Straight ahead into the tree. God, I hate doing this. Okay, going around, going up. Oh, yes. Oh, good. That's so scary. Okay, what's it gonna do with these branches? What are you gonna do? Okay, going to the right, going up. Oh man, come on. Oh yes, up and over. Wow. Okay, you guys, I am thoroughly impressed. Let's turn this around. Let me get over here and get around so I can see where it's at. You got to keep your drone within visual line of sight, right? All right, so there we go. I'm gonna go down again. I'm just gonna fly right into those trees. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the record button so you guys can get some 5K footage here. There we go. All right, it's gonna cut through there. Uh-oh. Okay, now it's gonna go up and around. Okay, that's good. Nice. Very, very nice. Okay, I'm gonna wave at you here. Here we are. Let's bring it down here. All right, let's walk straight ahead, or fly straight ahead. I'm just gonna walk right behind it. Just gonna hold. Let's try to go down this trail here. There we go. Okay, I'm pushing straight ahead and it's not moving right now. So I'm gonna back up and now I'm gonna go straight ahead. All right, not bad. Got hung up just a little bit there. Okay, and let's turn this way. And let's head back over to the camera. All right, let's fly straight ahead here. Let's do one more shot at these trees right here. Okay. Whoa. Okay, goes up and above. Very nice. Wow, let's head over to these pine trees and check those out. Let's see what happens. Let's go right in to the pine trees. See where it goes. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's deciding. It's deciding. You can't get around it. What are you gonna do? And I'm pushing full ahead on the right stick. It's not going anywhere. So we have to reset a little bit. Now this might be a little bit too challenging. There's just really nowhere for it to go. So here, let's get up to the higher elevations and let's fly right at the trees again. Wow. Very nice. Oh my gosh, you guys. That is impressive. Okay. That's really, really good. Really good. All right, let's bring it down and let's talk about this. After 30 flights, over 30 flights with this drone since I've had it, nothing has impressed me more than the obstacle avoidance and the APAS system. It is, I'm not going to say the S word, but you know what I'm talking about. It's as good as, I wouldn't say it's better than, but it's right on par with that technology. And it's just so good. I'm going to test that further. I'm going to do, when I do the active tracking video, I'm going to include some of the APAS 5.0 because they kind of go along together. But very, very good. Well done, DJI. So let's talk about O3 Plus, or basically Occusync. They don't call it Occusync anymore, but it's the next version of Occusync. And it's claimed to get up to 15 kilometers of transmission range, or 9 miles, which is insane. Now that doesn't mean that you should fly a drone 9 miles away. What it means is if you have unobstructed view between the controller and the drone, that signal should be able to go that far. But if you're flying around obstacles, I wanted to double check this morning. This is actually launch day, but I wanted to make sure that that's true. When you have obstacles, it doesn't matter if it's Occusync 1 or Occusync 10, you're still gonna get transmission interruptions if you have trees and buildings and things like that. And it's true. I live in a valley, there's a lot of trees around here. My signal strength was the same as the Air 2S and the Mavic 2 Pro. So there's no difference when you're flying around obstacles. At least I didn't notice any difference. But out in the open, yes, you're not gonna see a range test on this channel, but I flew a little bit to see how far it would go over the water that day. And it got farther than anyone needs to fly a drone. I'll just tell you that. You're just gonna have to trust me on it. But if you're flying around trees or buildings, I really haven't noticed a difference. Now I'm gonna do more testing. One of the tests that I'm gonna do here in a little bit, I don't have time to do it for today's video, but I'm gonna fly with my iPhone and then I'm gonna fly with the Triple Tech. I'm gonna see if there's any difference in the transmission strength. So is it gonna be any different? We'll find out, so watch for that video. Now, another thing that I wanna let you guys know, that when we got this drone, when all the people that got it early to test it out, there's a lot of things that we weren't able to test. The 4K 120, the auto exposure bracketing, the master shots, the active tracking. Those things aren't ready yet. We're waiting for a firmware update. So hopefully they come real soon. And when they do come, I'm gonna test out all of that. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss all of those assessments. Now, another feature that I was very interested in testing when I saw it is that the Mavic 3 has improved positioning precision, meaning that it can hold its position better than previous models. Now, this is very important for things like time-lapse videos and long exposure photos and things like that. So I want to check that out right now with a very simple test. I brought my Air 2S, I brought my Mavic 2 Pro, and then the Mavic 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to launch from this circle I made in the gravel. I forgot my landing pad. Thankfully, that's all I forgot so far today. But I'm just gonna launch from that circle. I'm gonna go straight up in the air and I'm gonna let it hover for about 5 minutes. It's about 20-mile-per-hour winds today. Hopefully the wind noise isn't bothering you too much, but I think it's a good day to test this out because we're gonna see how that GPS locks on and how well these 3 drones stay hovering in that position. And then I'm gonna bring it right back straight down. I'm gonna see where it lands, if it lands back in the circle or if it's way off or whatever. So we're gonna compare the Air 2S, the Mavic 2 Pro, and the Mavic 3. And we're gonna start with the Mavic 2 Pro right now. All right, this got a little bit too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a voiceover for it. So here is the Mavic 2 Pro. I push the stick straight up to 200 feet. I let it sit there for 5 minutes, push the stick straight down, and it landed about 8 feet away. So that one did not perform very well. Here is the Air 2S, same thing, lifted it up and pushed straight back down after 5 minutes, and it landed about 2 feet away. You can see I forgot my landing pad, so I had to make a little circle. And then next here is the Mavic 3. Same thing, straight up. It's about 20-mile-per-hour winds. Push the stick straight down after 5 minutes, and it landed almost right where the Air 2S did. So about 2 feet away from where I took off from. So overall, I think it did quite well. Now, is this a scientific test by any means? No, not at all. Not even close. But I just wanted to see, boy, the Mavic 2 Pro got way off. And again, this is not scientific, so it could be due to many variables, but I just wanted to see how well it held position in a 20-mile-per-hour wind, and it did quite well, but the Air 2S did just as well. Okay, some of you are probably wondering about Active Track 5.0 and how good is it? Well, I'm actually gonna be doing a separate video on that. It's a dedicated video just for Active Track, and then I'm gonna add the obstacle avoidance on there as well, as I just mentioned. So if you wanna see that, you're gonna have to subscribe so you don't miss it. But there are just too many things to show in one single video, and I don't want this to get too long. So I do hope that you'll join me to follow the journey of seeing everything that this drone can do. I'm still gushing over that obstacle avoidance. It's so good. Hey, one thing you might want to consider, because this is probably the most expensive drone that you will ever buy in your lifetime, and that's the DJI Care Refresh plan. And what that is, it's basically an insurance plan for your drone, and it covers pretty much anything: accidents, collision, loss, water, flyaways. And there's 2 options. You can get the regular Care Refresh plan, and that covers 2 losses in 1 year's time, or you can step it up to the DJI Care Refresh Plus plan, and that covers 3 losses in 2 years. And the biggest benefit of the plan now is if you don't use it during your term, you get an extended year of manufacturer's warranty. So that's totally worth it. So if you want to learn more details about the plan, I'll put a link in the video description. You can learn about the pricing and the restrictions and the regions that are covered. Now, there's one thing that needs to be talked about that most of you haven't seen any leaks on yet other than pictures, and that is this bag. This bag that comes with the Mavic 3 is extremely well built, and it's thought out, and I'm kind of mad about it, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But whatever design team that came up with this needs a raise, because it is wonderfully done. It's extra heavy duty. It's almost military type canvas with beefy components, and it's actually so good that I'm gonna give it its very own review video. So nice job on this, DJI. And the reason I'm upset about it is because it's really gonna prevent me from making videos on storage solutions for your Mavic 3. Like, I usually like the Nanook hard side cases. GPC makes great cases. There's all kinds of great aftermarket cases out there, but this is the first time that I'm excited about the bag. I've never used the bag that's come with the Flymore kit when I've bought in a drone, and before this one. It's really, really good, so watch for that video. Now, there are 2 things that I really am not a fan of on this drone. First of all, they went away with that traditional gimbal clamp and they decided on this harness or bra apparatus, it really brings to mind a certain movie that I'm certain most of you are familiar with. Now, I get the concept, and it's actually not that hard to put on once you get used to it. But the bad part is that sometimes the propellers don't stay tucked in like they should. And when they slip out, they flop around a lot. I wish they would have made this little bump right here just a little bit bigger to hold those propellers in. Secondly, the micro SD card placement. On the back with the USB-C port is the card slot. And to get it out, you need to have at least somewhat of a fingernail. And the worst part is that the card goes in upside down, which means you are unable to snag that little ridge to be able to pull it out, which means you need to pinch it to remove it. And that means that you need 2 longer fingernails now. And I hate even the slightest amount of fingernail on my fingers, so that's gonna be an adjustment for me. I just wish they would have put the card the other way around, then at least you could grab that little ridge. Oh well, I guess you can't have everything, right? So is the DJI Mavic 3 worth all of the years of anticipation? Should you upgrade from whatever drone you have right now? Well, that's only a question that you can answer for yourself. My mission with these next few videos is to help you decide by demonstrating as much as I can. Is it an amazing drone? Yes, it really is. It's fast. It flies longer than most people need it to. It's stable. The footage is incredible. The safety features are next level. So yeah, it's a pretty great drone. Subscribe if you want to take a really deep dive into this drone. I'll be making tutorials and comparisons on it until you guys get sick of it. If you do decide that you want to buy it today, you just can't wait, there is a link down in the video description where you can do that. Hit the thumbs up if I was able to help you in any way today. Subscribe to become a part of the team. Thank you for watching, everyone. And as always, fly safe and fly smart.